Hey guys, welcome to Ringsiders Wrestling. Jamie and Callum here, and today we are joined by the Wounded Owl, LuFisto. Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
We're good. I love that name, Wounded Owl. I love that name.
Thank you. It represents everything.
I absolutely love it. That's where I'm going to start, actually. I want to know, where did the Wounded Owl come from? Because that was just so cool.
Yeah, it was such a long process of why I came up with that name. I've always loved the fact that wrestlers had nicknames like Bret the Hitman Hart and King Hearts, Owen Hart, whatever. And I used to be the super hardcore anime LuFisto. And with time, of course, I grew kind of tired of being the cutesy anime. It was so far away from my own personality. Like, I like laughing and stuff, but I'm not like all bubbly and stuff. As everybody knows, I'm a metalhead and I like Slayer and King Diamond and stuff. So it was so far from who I am. And being older, I felt that the character didn't fit how I looked and how I felt and everything. So I did a thing where I killed my manager, Pegaboo. Oh, by the way, just so you know, I just cut myself before this interview. It's like I have I'm I'm like, wow, I just went hard way just before an interview. Like, I guess we're going to talk about hardcore on this anyway. So, that's why I have a tissue. Going back to the story, I decided to kind of kill the manager and kill the persona of the anime. And I was doing research because my character was Japanese. What happens when somebody loses their sensei or the person who guides them.
Yeah.
So I came across the Ronin, and I'm like, Ronin alone kind of sounds too. It's not enough. So I went and read, like, there's a lot of research behind all this. So I picked Owl because it's such a majestic creature. It is quiet, but it can be very vicious if you attack their babies themselves. So I was like, that's really like me in real life. Like, I'm a quiet person. I don't like necessarily to go out. I don't party. And in the ring, I felt it represented, like, when I come out, I'm really, quiet, more like not the bubbly type now. So, but when the bell rings, I'm like, I get vicious. And so I was like, Al is perfect. And Wounded is like, I collected so many scars throughout the years. So it's like Wounded Owl fitted so good. But back then I added Ronin, but I took it away. I removed it because it was too much. And I think people didn't really get it. But Wounded Owl, it's like, it was clear. It was like, and it's like represented me as a person, but also the history behind. And the scars, the fact that I did Deathmatches, all the hardcore stuff. And with the owl, also represents the knowledge. So being in this business for so long, Wounded Owl just made perfect sense as a nickname for me.
It's a badass name. I think it's great. Like you said, owls are wise, but they're also can be vicious if needed. And obviously, like you said, you've been in the business for, I believe, 23 years now, or at least
24 now. I celebrated 24 this past June.
Well, congratulations. That's quite an achievement. Like, to be in the business for that long, you're definitely a veteran, so to speak. So take us back to your training then, because you've been under a few monikers before. What did you first start out as when you first started training?
I first started as LuFisto. Not LuFisto, I mean Lucifer.
Yeah.
And it was just like, my first teacher really wanted me to get kind of involved as a manager with him at the beginning while I was training, because he thought like you need to feel how the crowd reacts and everything. So his name was the Devil's Machine. So I was like, Lucifer, easy. So I'm like,
Yeah.
it was just for me to get used to work with a crowd and everything. So I kept the name, and just instead of writing it down like usually you see it, Lucifer, L-U-I, when I split Lucy and Fur, and that was like the second one. And out of nowhere, when I was working for the Mountie, Jacques Rougeau, he switched my name to Precious Lucy. Without asking me, I just saw it in the newspaper. I'm like, oh, that's terrible. But I got stuck in it because it was the biggest newspaper in the province of Quebec. So I was like, I hated that name. But he was inspired by Precious with the Garvins. So I think he wanted something more old school, and Lucifer was kind of, well, satanic. So it wasn't good for a family-oriented show. And I was also a baby face then. So it's like, it doesn't fit. I'm like, okay. With the years, I kind of embraced the fact that it was Precious Lucy and I was doing the hardcore. So it was like, people thought like I would be all cutesy and stuff, and then whoop, the violence starts.
Yeah.
So the kind of paradox that it had. But when I got the call to go to Japan, they asked me to change my name. I was like, here's the opportunity. So that's how I went from all the names to LuFisto that I have since 2003.
Wow.
What was it like as well? Obviously, you mentioned Jacques Rougeau, the Mountie. What was it like working under him? Was it? He's not someone you really hear much about still nowadays. So what was it like working with him?
Jacques was really not at the beginning of his promotion. He wanted more to bring back the old Grand Prix wrestling type of thing, and I really like the fact that a big thing about Jock, he knows how to talk to the media. He knows how to go on TV and sell his stuff and make sure everything like he promotes like there's like no tomorrow. Like there's nobody who can do it as good as Jock. So I thought like I've learned a lot on that aspect with him. The only thing that happened with Jock is he wouldn't let us wrestle anywhere else, and he only had like 3 or 4 events a year. And I really wanted to wrestle, and it was hard to find girls back then. And like I wanted to wrestle the guys. I just wanted to be a wrestler. So he's like, you can't wrestle guys, and there's not many women wrestlers. So I was always fighting the same people. And he really turned this promotion into a family oriented, so we can punch and stuff. And I was like, it's not for me. If I want to grow as a wrestler, I need to wrestle people who are better than me, who can teach me. Like when I'm in the ring, I think there's no better way to learn than when you're actually in that ring with someone who's so much better than you, that you learn from them, like as they're guiding you, being the ring general. And that was something that was so like missing for me back then, that I just quit Jock and went on my own.
Have you always been interested in the hardcore side of wrestling? Because you say like you wanted to branch out and wrestle the guys, you wanted to wrestle people who were better than you. Was hardcore wrestling always on that list too?
Not really. Hardcore wrestling just happened. I was wrestling at a place called ICW in Quebec, and the main promoter there, his name was Serge Prou, was like, you know what, we don't have girls, but I'm gonna wrestle you. And he was like one of the first there, because guys didn't want to wrestle girls back then. Like you see a lot of intergender today, but back then it was like, no, I'm gonna look bad, and it's people are gonna think it's domestic violence instead of seeing it as 2 athletes competing, and also like more of a superhero thing. Like today, people are going to watch Black Widow and the Avengers, and they're not going to be bothered by it if she gets hit or she hits guys. But back then, it was a big thing. So not a lot of people, almost nobody, when it comes to the guys, wanted to wrestle me. But him, he's like, now I see this work. It's different, and he was right. I mean, there was almost a riot the first time we wrestled. And he was a very vicious heel. So he was using chairs and all kinds of stuff. So in the match with him, it just happened. Cookie sheets and guardrails and chairs. And the reaction from the crowd was so like, oh. And I think it's from that moment people started to see like, okay, she's serious about this. She's tough. She can take, she can take the hits. And every time it was, and for me, it was to prove people wrong that it's not because I'm a girl that I can't do this stuff and I'm not tough. And through hardcore, it was really, I always say I didn't have to do hardcore, but I feel it was necessary back then to prove that women can do everything the guys do. So I used it to prove people wrong.
I think you did.
And thank you. It just happened. And of course, by this happening, then I really got into watching the ECW stuff and being more aware of what was around the FMW and all the, the Japanese wrestling with I was always a fan of Akira Kudo. She was my favorite from the beginning with Bull Nakano, because in Japan they were doing hardcore. And so I've researched more into that, and because it just happened. But then after I really got interested in it, in every match I had to try something else and kind of elevate. A lot of people were like, "You don't have to do this. You're a girl," and I was so insulted. And I'm like, "Yeah, watch me." So I had the attacks, and then the next time I would add the barbed wire, and then I would add the lights, and then it was like more and more and more until I felt like I did everything in hardcore, and I was like, okay, I'm done.
I think the first time I heard the name LuFisto was in CZW, when you won I think it was the Iron Man Championship, and you actually defeated Kevin Steen for that. So like when you say like you proved your point, you went up against some of the greats of CZW, Zandig, Nick Gage, Kevin Steen at the time. I feel like some of your I can name more male opponents that you went up against than female. So I feel like when you say you wanted to prove you could do it, you definitely did.
Oh yeah, like intergender for me starts in 1997. My first world or big championship is 2001. So I've been doing it for a very long time. It's just that internet was not such a big thing back then, so people have to research to know what happened. But I've been collecting male championships since 1998.
I love that. See, you are a badass. I love that.
It's not a gimmick.
You was in the Cage of Death.
Yeah, I was in the Cage of Death. It's funny as you're mentioning that, because I'm like because I have a book coming up, so I'm trying to put a video together of kind of the biggest moments of my career, so I can have like something to promote and whatever. And I was just going over the CZW stuff yesterday with the Cage of Death and the day I won the Iron Man Championship, and I was like, man, wow. I was like, there's a clip where Danzig just throws me into glasses, like that was just looking at it.
Yeah, because we spoke to a British wrestler last night who was he's a deathmatch wrestler in the UK, and he actually said his dream is to be in the Cage of Death. That's his ultimate.
Yeah, I don't blame him. I mean, Cage of Death is the big thing when it comes to hardcore. I don't know now with the COVID how hardcore is going to do. I think so many things are going to change, but hopefully he makes it. It's a one in a lifetime thing you doesn't have to do if you're a hardcore wrestler.
Yeah.
Your experience of it.
Yeah, you have to experience it to know what it is. And especially if he's into hardcore, because hardcore is not for everybody. And it's like, it's not necessary, but for a lot of wrestlers, that they feel the need to prove themselves and to at least try it once. Or if you're a deathmatch wrestler, you want to push your limits and go further. So I hope he makes it there.
What was it like when you went from there was a period of your life where you were wrestling mainly intergender. What was it like when you went to Shimmer, which is a female promotion? Was there a difference when you were mainly wrestling females in Shimmer?
Well, the main thing with Shimmer is people didn't want me there.
Really?
I mean, not the promotion, but when I got announced first, I remember the backlash on the internet. This is a pure women's wrestling promotion. You're bringing the deathmatch girl. We don't want to see her. And I was like, oh, sweet Lord, baby Jesus. I was like, other people were like, no, she knows how to wrestle. Did you see her match against so and so and so? I was like, and it's always something that's been bothering me. A lot of people are judging without researching. When you Google, there's so many things coming out. Like, you can research. So I was like, man, I have to go there and prove to them that, yeah, I do the deathmatch stuff, but I'm like, I've always been more fulfilled in doing great wrestling matches and telling a story than the actual death matches. And actually, in all my death matches that I did, I always, use the same psychology I would in the match. Like, there's a shine, there's a hope, there's a cutoff. It's built the same way. It's just that I'm wrestling with weapons. I've never really liked just hitting with stuff. I want to do a move with something. And don't get me wrong, there's matches I did and I'm like, ugh, like I'm not like too proud of them. But there's like matches that I'm like, okay, like it was built, like there was a story, there was a heel, there was a face, there was like something built up there. And with Shimmer, when I got there, and my first match was with Mercedes Martinez, and I got there, people were like, yay, some clapping, some like this, looking at me. And when I got to the ring, and then we started wrestling, we started chain wrestling, so I could see people going, like their faces were changing while we were wrestling. And then finish comes 1, 2, 3. I lose the match, standing ovation. And when we were selling merchandise, there's so many people who came like, we didn't know you could wrestle like this. I'm like, yeah, I'm a wrestler. I just the limit's a little bit too much sometimes, but I love to wrestle. Like and still today, it's something that's in my blood. It's something that like I said, I feel so much more fulfilled going in there and trying to have a great wrestling match.
Yeah.
With a lot of intensity. I love being intense. I love to beat up people. Like I'm more of a brawler, but I can go out there and actually do like ground wrestling too.
I think it's one thing we've got to mention is you're also a CZW Hall of Famer, and that's
all I can hear is my cat doing something. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah.
It's a cat. It's all right. She can do what she wants.
So many noises coming from the other room.
Yeah, you're a CZW Hall of Famer, class of 2019. What was that like to receive that honor? Because obviously you wanted to change people's perceptions of what female wrestlers could be. Do you feel like that was one of those moments?
It was. The only thing I really regret about the Hall of Fame is like when I was told I was getting into the Hall of Fame, I didn't want to go. I felt it was like I was not ready. Like when you get in Hall of Fame, it's usually when you're done. And I think it kind of cursed me because I got injured like a few weeks later. And I felt like, yeah, I'm like, oh, this is bad. I don't want to go. And I'm like, should I? And when I finally said yes, because I was going to have a match too, so I was like, okay, I'm going to go. At least I'm going to wrestle. And I was asking, like, do I need to talk? Is there like a speech? Do I need to dress up? And DJ was like, no. And when I got there, everybody was dressed up. Everybody had speeches. And I was like, kind of pissed off and disappointed. And I'm like, I should have been ready, and I was not. Like, you see it on the pictures, everybody's like dressed nice, and I'm like in punk pants. Like, and I was like, man, and I felt like I wasn't ready. And I always feel like there's CZW today, but I come from the John Sandig CZW, and I tried my best to give him the credit for everything he did for me, and he wasn't there. I just wish he could have been there, because I owe a lot to John, and he's forever in my heart for believing in me when I did not. And yeah, I just feel it's a great honor, and I'm also part of the NSPW Hall of Fame here in Quebec, which I won their main championship in 2012, and it's a big promotion in Quebec. They get like 800, 900 people per show minimum, and but I just felt like I'm honored, but I feel it was not the time yet, and I wish John Zendig would have been there.
I think it's cool though that even if he wasn't ready to be in the Hall of Fame mentally, it's still a great honor. And you're a two-time Hall of Famer, which just means people think your body of work is good enough to be Hall of Fame worthy, which is quite an honor. And like you said, you're not even done yet. You've still got plenty to offer. So imagine like when it's all said and done, how many Hall of Fame entries you're gonna have.
Well, we'll see. Hopefully I can make it to a bigger Hall of Fame. I would love to wrestle for someone like All Elite or Ring of Honor or NWA. I feel I'm 40 years old now, and I feel I've always felt like I don't know if I'm good for TV. It's like I've always been kind of, I want to go, but today I can honestly say like I'm so ready. Like I feel I've matured with the years, and I'm smarter, and I can work better, and I can deliver better what's asked of me. So I wanted to retire last year, and I had a knee injury, and I'm like, oh, that's it. And I was just tired of wrestling as a whole. I was like, and just the love just came back, and I got like, I'm in the best shape of my life right now. I feel great, and I feel confident in everything, and there's no wrestling here, and I'm like, no, I'm ready now. Like, give me a shot. Like, I want to wrestle. And like, I had great matches in the past year with Josh Alexander. I wrestled Too Cold Scorpio, which I never thought I would do in my life. And when that match was announced, I was like, that has to be a joke. Like, oh no, you're wrestling him. Mark from C4 Wrestling in Canada. I was like, whoa. I was like, so like, and I also wrestled the Beast King, Frankie. He was known as Frankie the Mobster. He did a little bit of CC too. Yeah. Remember him? Now he's like, he turned 42, and that's one thing with me and him. I feel we're in the best shape of our lives, and he's like so awesome, and I feel like we've grown. I've known him for 24 years, so it's so great to see like older people. Well, not that we're old, because I don't want people to think there's an age limit in wrestling.
Yeah.
Because we're not old, we're experienced, and we can bring a lot to the people who are in the business. And also, I feel like you never stop learning. If I wrestle somebody that's younger, I'm also like, learning by trying to teach them. And they even teach me some stuff sometimes. Like, I really like wrestling the older style with the new style, and kind of combine and try to find that perfect like middle between both of them. And to go back to Frankie, I just wish he would have a shot too, because he looks like $1 million, and I was like I feel a lot more veteran on the circuit should have shots right now, where don't look at the age, look at what they can bring you. Just thinking about Eddie Kingston, been working so hard. I was listening to his podcast yesterday with Jericho, and everything he was saying, I was like, oh, that sounds like me. I was like, and I've known Eddie since 2006, and to see him years later, great shape, like he lost weight, he's so good on the mic, and he's real.
Yeah.
Like everything is so scripted. So when you get a guy like this who goes out there and he's real, and he's him, and he's legit, it's like, man, this this to me is money, and I want to see more of this. I also know his background story, so it's like it's so great. I can't wait to see what's next for him.
Yeah, I always, every time I hear him speak, I believe every single word he's telling me. He's incredible. Another guy as well making that big comeback is PCO, a fellow Quebec.
Oh, PCO, I could go on and on PCO when he had that match with Walter at the Joey Janela Spring Break. I was there live. I had a show like right before the spring break, and I stayed because I was like, oh, Pierre's wrestling. I haven't seen him in a while, and when I saw him, and it was a total like rebirth, and I went to talk to him after, and he's like, I'm 50 years old. I feel like $1 million. And I was like, man, you look like $1 million. And it's just another proof that age doesn't matter when you have that passion, when you have that will to succeed. Like Pierre, when he wrestles, you see the love, you see like the time he puts in his promos and everything. He's definitely an inspiration.
Yeah, we spoke to him a couple of months ago, and he basically said to us, I'm not done yet. So
he's not.
Yeah.
He's a
machine. You mentioned All Elite, Ring of Honor, NWA. Could we maybe see you make an impact? I know your former Team Pod members there, Jordynne Grace. I would love to see you two go one-on-one. I'm not going to lie.
I would love to work with Jordynne again as a team or as an opponent. We have such great chemistry, whether it's opponent or partner. And there's so many fans asking me to go to Impact, but it hasn't happened yet. And I have a strange relationship with Impact because years ago, I want to say 2010, I was scheduled, maybe the year is wrong, but I still have the emails. I had a tryout scheduled, and then it got postponed, and then the main office changed, and then they canceled it. And then I went to the gut check. And I trained with D'Lo Brown, and we've been friends since then. I love D'Lo. And they were like, "You're so different from everything else." And some people tried to get me in, and twice my file was in the garbage. It was found by somebody else. Somebody was trying to get me in, and somebody was like, "No, I don't know who." And I worked a show in Montreal that was before that, and I ended up backstage for some reason, and I ended up being the runner. I was doing all kinds of stuff, and they're like, "Hey, you got your stuff with you?" It's like, "Yeah, I have my promo pack and everything." It's like, give it to, I think it was Simon Diamond back then. I give it to him, and a security guy just comes to me like 2 days later. It's like, "Hey, I found your promo pack in the garbage." I was like, "Oh, that's nice."
Yeah.
So it's like, ugh. And then there was the online gut check thing where people were voting, and I was like winning, and then, oh, there's a problem with the voting. We'll start again. Then I'm winning again, like 10,000 votes over. And then, oh, it's not working. We start again. And then they do it on the website. And like people were emailing me like, "We can't vote for you. We tried." So it's like 4 different times where it's like, people want me there, but
that's so frustrating.
It's like I have a love-hate relationship with Impact because of this. I love what they're doing. There's a lot of people there. I love, Sami Callihan and of course Jordynne. I've always had, I love Taya Valkyrie, Diana. I love Kiera Hogan. Their women's, like the Knockouts division right now is so strong. They just signed Kimberly and Nevaeh. You know, I love that. Love working those two. But I'm like, ugh. I was like, I don't know what would it take, because people keep like tagging them like, we want LuFisto, and nothing. So it's like, maybe it's me not doing something right. Maybe I'm not pushy enough. I've always felt like, I almost feel like, not that I don't want to beg for a job, but I feel I don't know how to do it. And I feel like almost like a fraud when I'm like, hey, would you like to give me a job? I was like, so I will retweet stuff from fans and I'm like, hey, I'm here, but I won't. And that's probably the problem.
Like, I think that's understandable.
I had to do it. I feel like, I don't know.
Well, I can safely say, whatever the hell is going on, it's Impact's loss, because you are incredible. So it's their loss. It really is.
But it's also the game of any other promotion.
A lot of promotions, because not only can I wrestle anyone of any languages, any, you know, but I love setting up matches together. I can be an agent. I have 2 degrees in multimedia design. I'm a graphic designer, multimedia designer, so I can help with that. I can be the French spokesperson for whoever, because I speak French too. So, and like, yeah, there's so many things I could do. I've worked as a guerrilla position too for a promotion in Quebec. Like, I could bring so much, but you always need that one person who's going to give you that one shot. And that's something throughout 24 years I never got, unfortunately.
It could be something that happens though, because even with All Elite Wrestling, they've got some very, very, very talented female wrestlers, but I feel like they're lacking that one veteran who could hold it together. And exactly, right? Surely I think you'd fit in All Elite Wrestling so well, because I think they've got some really good young talents, but they just need that one veteran who has the experience in the business, backstage, putting matches together, being an agent. You said you can do it all. I think you'd be the glue that could really help bring that together. And
I think right now, though, I haven't seen the graphic or so, but I think they signed Serena, so that's going to be like for them.
Yeah.
Serena has a lot of experience as a wrestler and a trainer, but I can see myself going out there and have killer matches with Nyla Rose. I really love Abaddon. I love the fact that I didn't know about her before All Elite. There's a lot of other promotions that they bring all these people who were at WWE, and I mean, it's great in the way that sometimes WWE are not necessarily gonna not gonna use them properly, but they're not gonna put them in a place where they're gonna shine, and it gives them a second chance. But it's not something new, and that's what I love about Abaddon. I haven't seen her before, so to me, she's an All Elite product. And of course, when I saw her, I started looking into her stuff, where she comes from. She's a beautiful girl. And I feel she's hungry. She wants to do good, and she wants to. I was like, I could do so much with Abaddon as a partner or as a wrestler, because she seems to be into those not hardcore, but more of a brawling, outside fighting type of stuff. So she's definitely somebody I could build a feud with, where it starts with few matches and then it gets into stipulation matches, and then it goes up and up and up and up. It's definitely somebody I could work with, that we could build at something with.
I saw the other day that even Chris Jericho was basically praising her, like she's the one to watch in the women's division. So praise from a guy like Jericho. She's clearly doing something right. And speaking of women, I have to ask you as well, because you did train with Asuka. So I mean, what was that experience like?
When I went to Japan, Asuka was one of the trainees there. And the funny thing is, she she was not known as Asuka or Kana, then she's Kanarurai. I can't even pronounce her name right now. I'm sorry. But so I trained there, and when she came to the United States for the first time, I didn't necessarily like recognize her when she was announced and everything, because I wasn't really following the Japanese scene much at this particular time. I watched a lot of old stuff, but for the new stuff, I was not, and I'm still into Kenta Kobashi's and like other stuff, and so when she came to Shimmer, she's like, "Oh my god!" And then she jumps in my arms, and then I kind of, oh, and she remembered me, and she hugged me, and I was like, "Oh, I trained with her," and she must have thought that I was really nice because she remembered me and gave me so much love. And during that first weekend at Shimmer, everybody tried to shake her hand and she wouldn't. She kind of stayed heel, but with me, for some reason, I extended my hand. She shook my hand and gave me a hug in the ring. And it's not something that was planned. And people were like, huh? And even myself, like I didn't even know what happened before in their other matches. And they put us together as a team from there because it was like, okay, you're the only one she shook her hand. And we went from there, and like we wrestled together, I think, for 3 years as a team.
And I'm gonna say it, you wrestle her again. That's gonna be a match you want to happen.
Oh, that would be great, but I really doubt it would happen because I think she's in WWE for the long run.
Mm. She seems to be enjoying herself there, just by her social media posts.
She's happy, so that's what matters. I'm like,
the main thing.
She's having great matches, and there's great girls too she can work with, and yeah, no, I wish her the best, and hopefully she stays there and make that good money for a while.
Well, I'm fairly certain Vince McMahon listens to this podcast anyway, so if he is listening, you know, make it happen, Vince. Come on, what's going on? Sort it out. Look, we'd have to ask you as well. Tell me about Shine, because 529 days as the champion, that's incredible. How did Shine come about? What was that experience like?
And I never lost the championship.
You never lost? No, you didn't.
Shine, I've wrestled there like twice or maybe 3 times before, but it was not a regular thing. And then I get a call from WWN Live and call a message on Messenger. And it was like, oh, we want to use you, every show. I'm like, cool. And I didn't know at this time what was the plan. And I get there and it's like, we're going to use you as a heel. And I was like, oh, now I'm interested. Because I just switched the character. I was not the anime anymore. And I was really bored with, everything cutesy. And I'm like, okay, that's a challenge. And it was like, we're going to give you the mic and then cut promos. And I was like, oh, like not a lot of people gave me the opportunity to grab that mic and, cut some promos and stuff. So we did a thing where I was wrestling Ivelisse. She beat me, and then I just snapped and turned. And we had for about 2 shows a group called C4. But Kennedy Brain got signed and Andrea got signed, so that went out. And that didn't work. But they kept me there, and I had that match with Allison K. Mercedes Martinez, and they put the championship on me. Actually, it's after that C4 kind of died. But anyway, I didn't expect them to leave the championship that long, but and I thank them for that. I mean, they were like, I got a lot of good words saying that my matches were great and I was delivering, so why not? I could do main events nonstop, and I had the opportunity to wrestle like so many great people. Like I said, Allison Kay, I wrestled Su Yung, I wrestled Olided, wrestled Rain, like so many cool matches that I had. Leva Bates, which was one of my favorite. Like I thought me and Leva really had a great match at Shine, and yeah, it just went on for days and days and days, and it was kind of planned that I was going to lose soon because they wanted to turn me babyface because I was getting the cool heel reaction to, like, people were starting to cheer again. So I was like, oh, that's not good. And as much as I tried so hard for people to hate me, it was like, yay! And there was those guys, like every time I entered doing this, I was like, ah! And I was telling them to stop it, but they would cheer more. I was like, oh, you guys suck.
And then they cheer again. Yeah.
Yeah. So in 2018, actually before my match with Ollie Dead and Evil East, we had a three-way. I got the call from my doctor that it didn't look good. I had a pap test and I needed a biopsy, and that's where they found I had cancer cells on my cervix. And I had to go through surgeries, and there's one of them I had to miss one show. The way Shine explained it, I was missing the anniversary show, so they were like, we kind of need a champion. It's like, I get it. I mean, it is what it is. I can't control what's going on with this illness. Like, I'm like lucky enough that there's no talk about having anything else than a surgery. Like, I didn't have radiotherapy. I didn't have, I was going to say chemistry, but chemo. And I mean, in all that, I was so lucky, but like the surgery was so expensive, and like I have to go back, and it's actually one of the main reasons why I moved back to Canada, because it was trying to come back, and in the United States it was just impossible money wise to everything is good, by the way, right now. Like everything is clear. Nothing's back.
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
No, so that was going to be my next question anyway. You know, how are you now?
So yeah, to go back to Shine, since my future was kind of uncertain, they took the belt off. The sad part is that I was there the following show. I only missed one show.
Yeah.
And but then they started the feud with Jordynne, who's, you know, we got a lot of like steam going, and fortunately after that I moved back to Canada, so the feud kind of died. But yeah, I just wish that I could have like lose the belt to Allison Kay instead of just handing it and they, you know, her going through a tournament. She was like so ready. Like I mean, Allison Kay, like she's 24/7 ready. She's amazing, but she's been the face of Shine since the beginning. I really wish I could have, you know, just she could get the 1, 2, 3 on me and get that championship instead of taking, and because we had a match after and it was great, but it didn't feel like I had it for so long. It would have been so great to just lose it to someone who deserved it so bad. And like I said, been the face of Shine since its beginning. So yeah, that's my regret from all this.
And are you going to get that belt back though?
I don't know. I have to go back to the United States for that. And with COVID, I really need a work visa. Otherwise, you can't go in.
Yeah.
Obviously, before we start wrapping things up, I've got to ask you this. Mick Foley on Twitter. I mean, how did that feel when you read that?
I've been a Mick Foley fan forever, of course, hardcore hero, and he was one of the inspirations. And I would look at his matches to get inspired when I was doing Deathmatches and stuff. And I've met him before, like when I was about 17, 18, just starting. And he was always so kind, and I would ask him like, hey, do you have any advice? And he would like offer some insight and stuff. And so I remember that. Like, of course, he didn't remember me because he'd seen so many people. But when he posted about the CZW and everything, and I was fighting for the women, you could see my passion. We've been in contact since. we wrote each other, and if I know if I have questions or anything, and I'm probably gonna reach out soon, Mick, because I'm trying to write my book, and I was like, and he's so good at it. Like he's such a great human being. Like I feel blessed, and I don't know if you can see it behind, but he sent me one of this Cactus Jack. It's up there. I don't know if you can see it. Let's see.
Oh yeah.
See it now?
Awesome.
He sent me one of his Cactus Jack T-shirts signed, and
That's so cool.
I thought it's framed. It's framed. But yeah, I so blessed. Like great human being, and always there. Loves wrestling. Very supportive of women's wrestling, and he wrote a beautiful text about Susan Sexton and included me in it. So I was like, oh, yeah, feel really blessed
That's
about
so cool.
it. It is.
He's you never hear a bad word about Mick Foley. He seems to be the guy everybody loves. So obviously,
hey, Mick Foley, you're wrong.
Yeah. Simple as that.
Yep. More. So before we let you go as well, can you tell us a little bit about the book? Because my thing is I collect wrestling autobiographies and books, so I will be buying it when it comes out. So please tell me about it.
So I'm writing it with Greg Oliver, who's a great wrestling author. He wrote many books already, Canadian also. It's going to be published by ECW Press. They publish like if you check them out online, like they have so many wrestling books. And they actually the editor in chief was doing a live interview, and they asked him like, who would you like to tell the story of? And he said, well, there's two people. There's Kevin Steen and LuFisto. So that's when Greg Oliver is like, yeah, maybe it's about time we tell your story, because there's a lot of people who don't know that before intergender was cool, you were doing it. Before women had world championship, you had about 5. It's like it's time that people know the fight you put, you everything you did for women's wrestling. And I actually fought the government in Canada so women could fight men and everything. And I've known Greg for so many years, so he was there during all that time where fought the government and won the male championship. And he's like, you need to tell your story. And I was like, I don't know. And then I spoke to Michael from ECW Press, and I spoke to Gray on the phone, and I was like, okay, let's do it. Let's do it. So right now we're compiling all kinds of stories, because my main problem is like over 24 years, I'm like, what should I tell? What's relevant? What's not? Should I include a lot of personal stuff or keep it wrestling oriented? Because if I include too much personal stuff, there might not be enough space for the wrestling aspect, where maybe I could end up like doing 3 books. Who knows? I have so much stuff. But right now, that's what we're doing. Like we talk on the phone. We're okay. Question about Japan. Question about Mexico. Question about your first matches or before wrestling. One thing I did great, and I will bury over it myself for that. Throughout the years, I've kept every statistic of all my matches. Every year, I would say what promotion I wrestled, what was the date, the city, against who, and who won. I did that for all my matches over the past 24 years, and it's really helpful right now. I've also kept
awesome.
I've also kept every newspaper cut, wrestling internet wrestling news stuff. I would put them in a scrapbook kind of thing. So I kept everything, like posters, flyers, tickets. I even have some of my plane tickets that I kept. And now it's really useful, because I go through this and I'm trying to, okay, this was an important match. This was an important moment. This is just trying to get together, and I have to get together with Greg too, so we can try to kind of make a plan, because there's so many things, and I'm like, how am I going to pick and choose? But that's where we're at right now, like talking and putting stuff together until we actually start writing the book. They want to release the book in 22. I hope it's going to be before, but
yeah,
like I said, I have so much information. Like I don't know, but hopefully, you know, we're gonna go through this. The process is gonna be smooth, and right now, like I mean, my story, there's no end right now. It's still it's an ongoing thing.
yeah.
I just hope that I can close the book with she signed the contract.
That maybe that's a good thing that it might take another couple of years to come out, because you might have that perfect ending to the story, and even if not, you've still got it's still a hell of a story to tell anyway. So that's one I'm looking forward to reading. Like Jamie said, just when it does come out, make sure you let us know. Not only will we read it, we'll help promote it and everything. That's going to be a great read.
Thank you. I will.
It's my thing is I collect wrestling books, so that will be getting bought as soon as it comes out, and I will plug it to the moon. But obviously, wrapping up, is there anything else you want to promote, plug your social medias?
Yeah, well, I have a website, so LuFisto.com. So there you can join my YouTube page. It's Wounded at LuFisto on Instagram, at LuFisto on Twitter. I have a Patreon where you can see exclusive matches, pictures. I tell stories, stuff about my cats, coffee, all this stuff. But yeah, like matches and stuff, and it's Patreon/LuFisto. And if you can't remember all this, just go on LuFisto.com. I got all the links there. There's my biography, all my championships that I won. There's pictures. There's all kinds of stuff. Lots of merchandise too. I got cool T-shirts. I got buttons. I got so many pictures. Like everything you need, it's all there.
Well, I just happen to get paid next week, so I might T-shirt maybe, yeah. But no, thank you so much. We would definitely love you to come on again if that's ever possible. It's been an absolute pleasure. This has been
Awesome speaking to you.
One of my favorite interviews so far. We'll get you back on. We'll have a Motorhead chat as well next time you're back on. We'll rock and roll. But thank you so much, LuFisto. We've been Ringsiders, and we will see you again soon.